All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Orange County Emergency Operations Center. I have a few things that I want to take care of from the beginning today. First, I want to acknowledge that we're working with CCI during this press conference, which is being broadcast live in Spanish and Creole through ocfl.net/languages. Also, we've had a lot of activity going on in our Emergency Operations Center. You've seen our primary emergency manager, Division Chief Laura Lee Avery from Orange County Fire Rescue, but I also want to acknowledge today formally the Deputy Director from our Emergency Operations Center, Mr. Carlos Durden, who is behind me. He's one of those unsung heroes that we have, and I know his mother would appreciate that. So with that, I have some friends also who have joined us today. We have Ms. Amy Mercado, the Orange County property appraiser, who you're going to hear from in just a few moments. You also have Mr. Scott Howard, the Director of Communications for Orange County Public Schools, Mr. Phil Harris from the American Red Cross, Ken Chapman, the captain here for the Salvation Army, and Mr. Charles Williams, the FEMA representative. Also want to acknowledge we have several of our Orange County commissioners who have joined us here in the room, Commissioner Myra Uribe, as well as Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero. It has been 1 week since the most devastating part of Ian has roared through our county with high winds and massive rainfall and flooding, which you are all very aware of. We are in full recovery now, and we are holding our 10th news briefing to let our residents know the most up-to-date efforts that are underway within our county. I want to talk today about what we're doing with shelters here within the county. We still have one shelter that remains open. It is the South Econ Recreation Center. And at that shelter, we have 116 people and 26 pets who remain at the shelter. We are working with our various social service agencies here locally to try to rehouse those individuals and provide appropriate services for them and their families. We do appreciate the support from the American Red Cross of Central Florida for managing the operations at that particular location. As a reminder, all programs and events at the South Econ Recreation Center are suspended at this time until further notice. I'm also proud of our Family and Community Services Department, which has been working very diligently with our various commissioners here throughout the county to ensure that we are responding appropriately to the needs of our community. To date, Community and Family Services workers have distributed more than 2,700 meals and over 1,000 cases of water to citizens across Orange County's hardest hit areas. These efforts are done in conjunction with the hard work of the Salvation Army, which is providing 1,400 meals a day throughout the county at this time. All 6 of our county commissioners have been involved in the relief efforts. Community and Family Services have also provided bus cars, grocery cars, and service referrals directly to local residents. We cannot thank our partners enough in these recovery efforts. That includes, of course, the Red Cross, FEMA, the Salvation Army, and even Second Harvest Food Bank. Community and Family Services, to all of you, thank you once again for your dedication to public service within our community. I want to talk now about debris removal. If you travel around our county, you can see the debris on the sides of roads, etc. We are working diligently to remove the debris from our roadways. The process started yesterday. Our contractors mobilized and went to Westside Manor in the Orla Vista area to begin hauling away debris. That will continue. We're also picking up whatever is at the curb in most devastated areas of our county, be it furniture, household items, and yard waste. Just as a reminder, if you live within one of those gated communities, we don't go into the gated communities. You have to work through your various HOAs regarding debris removal. By the end of the week, We should have debris removal teams in every one of our county commission districts. It is estimated that it will take at least 6 weeks to remove debris from the entire county. And as a reminder, please, when you're putting your debris out, keep the sidewalks clear if you can, because we do have our children who have returned to school, and they need to have use of those sidewalks and areas around their bus stops. To give you some perspective, yesterday alone we had 6,000 tons of garbage and yard waste deposited at the landfill and 2 transfer stations. The intake yesterday was 71% higher than normal. Now let me talk a little bit about some of our lakes and what's happening there, and some of our communities that have been impacted by flooding. Moss Park Campground and the Little Econ Trail both remain closed due to flooding. All boat ramps in unincorporated Orange County remain closed until further notice. A no-wake advisory remains for all lakes, which means no recreational activity is allowed and people should not come in contact with these lake bodies. Our environmental teams continue their work assessing the safety of our waterways. And with that, I'm going to now ask our property appraiser, Ms. Amy Mercado, to come forward, and she'll talk to you about some of the efforts underway with the property appraiser's office to give estimates to damage within our community. Property appraiser Mercado.
Good afternoon, and thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the community at large for their patience, for the folks behind me and the agencies they represent, because it takes literally a group effort to get all this information to you all in as close to real time as possible. As of noon today, we have approximately $172 million in damages. That includes commercial, residential, and mobile homes. We have verified approximately 1,000 data points and have approximately 200 more to go. So we will continue to share information as it comes through. Some of those points were not accessible due to clearly flooding or accessibility problems, but as we get to them, we will share that information. So again, as of today, noon, $172 million in estimated damages, 1,000 data points have been verified, 200 to go. We will continue to work together to ensure that you have the most up-to-date and accurate information for all the agencies, including the community members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mercado. At this time, I'm going to ask our FEMA representative to come forward. The individual assistance and other assistance that is being made available through FEMA is well underway. I'm going to ask him to share with you some of the most current updates. Mr. Charles Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. The community has been doing a great job of registering. We'd like them to continue that effort. As I always state before, my first preference for you to register is go to disasterassistant.gov. If that's not an option, then use your smartphone and download the FEMA app. And the last option is to dial the 1-800 number. If you dial a 1-800 number, please pack your patience, because that's covered nationwide. You will be on hold for at least 30 minutes. We are covering a whole lot of people are calling in, so it's not going to be dial a number, somebody going to talk to you. As you fill out your IA application or individual assistance application, we ask you to do 2 things first. The first thing is, if you have homeowners insurance, call the homeowner insurance company to report your losses so you get your appraisals out there to get that done. Also, you have NFIP insurance. You need to call that agency and get your NFIP application done. This will help you get through the process of your insurance and recovery there. We have people in the community helping people register, and if you get a initial letter from FEMA, please do not throw it away. I know the initial first paragraph say denied, but it's really telling you your application is incomplete. Something is missing. So if you have a letter like that, once the DRC open, I encourage you to bring your letter to the DRC, and we'll provide help to get the missing information so we can get the help you need. But do not be turned off because the first paragraph says you have been denied. It's basically telling you that something in your application is missing, and at this time we cannot assist you without you not providing the missing information. If you hear nothing else I said, remember that right there. Denial is not denial. Denial is really, I'm missing key information in order I need to make a decision. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Charles. Next, we're going to hear from our Red Cross representative, Mr. Phil Harris. He's going to be followed by our school board representative, Mr. Scott Howard, and then you will hear from Captain Ken Chapman with the Salvation Army in that order.
Hello, my name is Phil Harris. I'm the chapter executive for a chapter in North Carolina. My colleague, Tamika Jewett, and I, she's from Mississippi. We've been here in support of our local executive, Janice Moran. As the mayor said, we've got a good-looking shelter, fully staffed at Econ Trail, 116 clients. We have our health services professionals going through there, our mental health counselors, our spiritual health counselors, and then we're co-located with FEMA, so that gives the clients an opportunity to connect there. We, along with Salvation Army, doing feeding. We're doing what we call hot shots. We've been riding through the community, finding pockets that have needs, and we've been trying to put feeding in those spots. The work continues, as the mayor said, and as I told the mayor, disaster relief is a team sport, and the Red Cross is proud to be part of that team. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Mayor. Mayor, thank you for your leadership and partnership throughout this. I'm Scott Howard. I'm the Chief Communications Officer for Orange County Public Schools. As of today, this morning, with Riverdale students returning to class, all 208,000 students in Orange County are back. Tuesday, we had 209 campuses that reopened, and today, the Riverdale students returned to East River, their new campus, their new home for temporarily, while we take care of the issues of flooding that had taken place during Hurricane Ian. This morning's return with students ran smoothly, and it really shows the cooperation between the East River University High School and Riverdale staff and teachers and administrators that work together to get the students on the buses this morning and get them out to East River. Last night, we had an open house for parents and students out at East River. Went very well. In fact, it's really great to see these two communities getting together. They have a slogan now, and many of you may have heard this already, but I'll repeat it again. 2 rivers, 1 family, and that's what they are. And you can certainly see that in the visuals that were there, and seeing the students, the high school students welcoming the elementary students was just heartwarming. So we're grateful to our maintenance and custodial teams, our local utility companies, our county, our municipalities, and staff that worked so hard to get our schools reopened. When we were here on Monday, we announced that we were going to reopen, and we've been able to do that successfully because of that. Extracurricular activities resumed this week, as well as extended day for elementary and middle school students. Any missed athletic competitions or other club activities, the schools are working to get new dates, and they'll update families as that becomes available. As you know, our students, their families, our employees may be in need of assistance. So far, we have received $3,500 through our Hurricane Relief Fund. We've had additional donations come in from corporate exceeding $16,000 towards that effort. And we want to thank those that are contributing. We do have not only a relief fund, but we have a resource area where our families can go on the front page of ocps.net, and they can click on the graphic Hurricane Relief and Resources and get a number of resources. They can also register there for items that they may be in need of, and so we'll help connect them with those resources. If you are a student, parent, employee, and you're in need of help, that's the place where you will want to go. So again, ocps.net. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. And I appreciate it, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm Captain Ken Chapman, the Area Commander of the Salvation Army for Orange and Osceola counties. First of all, I want to say, Mr. Mayor, what an honor it is to be able to serve under your leadership and the leadership of your incredible staff. I was on a divisional conference call with the Salvation Army headquarters today, and they said, we kind of apologize because everybody's focusing on Southwest Florida, and Orlando and Orange County is kind of the stepchild. And I said, Mr. Mayor, there's nothing ever stepchild about Orange County. So we have gone out, we're serving over 1,400 meals a day. We have a gym that is packed right now. Channel 6 did an incredible job with doing a donation drive. We are going as early as this afternoon. We've been going to the areas that needed it the most in Orla Vista, Bonnybrook, Cypress Landing, and other places like that off of Old Goldenrod, the Gulf Stream. So I was with Commissioner Uribe and her whole family, actually, Saturday. We were literally wading through floodwaters to take food and water to people who could not get out, had not been able to get out, and had no power. I rolled my uniform pants legs up, waded through the water, and a snake went right in front of me, and I froze. So when I got back to the canteen, I told them, and Commissioner said, what were you going to do? I said, if that snake had come toward me, you'd be calling me Jesus, because I'd be walking on the water back to the canteen. But I want to say that we did not expect this kind of flooding. We were not as prepared as we should have been, but we quickly mobilized as an Army and joined forces with the community. This community is an incredible place to serve. People care about people. And that is why Orange County is so successful, and the leadership of Orange County really makes this happen. We will continue till it is over. For the school system, we are now in what we call our response stage. In a few weeks, we'll go into recovery stage, where we do long-term recovery. One of the things we are committing to the school district to do, we will step up our angel tree for Christmas this year, go through Orange County schools to get the people who are the most needy and in need of Christmas assistance as the holidays approach. And we have already agreed to serve 20,000 meals on Thanksgiving Day to people who have been displaced. So I'm honored to serve in this county. We will be here until it's over, and the Salvation Army is marching along.
All right. Thank you, Captain Chapman. What we will do after this press conference is provide you with a list of those various relief funds where persons can provide assistance to our community. There are quite a few of them who have initiated the process at this point. I also want to just thank our entire team for the collaborative that you see here today. Also want to acknowledge our American Sign Language interpreters who are here. They have done a yeoman's job of assisting us in communicating with those who are hearing impaired within our community. We're going to open it up now for questions for the Spanish-speaking media. If you have any questions in Spanish, then I will call on one of my special assistants to come forward to assist in that process. Then different representatives here are also bilingual. So we'll open it up for any questions that you may have at this time.
Mayor
Yes.
Jennings, really quickly, Melissa Thompson for National News. Obviously, with your comment about, Orange County kind of feeling like the stepchild, I did want to ask, though, has your office worked with some of the other counties that have been affected? Like, how did you guys kind of collaborate in the response as it relates to the hurricane?
Well, in a number of ways. We have communications with the other counties around us because we have to manage the flooding, the waters. They don't just stay within any particular jurisdiction. So because of the Shingle Creek Basin, water flows into surrounding counties and some of the other water bodies that we have, it impacts the entire region. So we have great communication between the counties because of that. We have great communications within the county. We share resources, and in fact, That is why we have an emergency operations center here. We work with the entire state of Florida, and for us to meet the needs of our mission here locally, we have to rely on resources from the state, the federal government, and sometimes we share those resources within the county itself.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Your property appraiser had said you guys have an estimated $172 million of damages. How long do you think families are going to be waiting? What's the time frame for it to get back to where they were before the storm?
That's going to be a process. For some of those families, their homes are going to have substantial renovation and rehab work done within them. For others, it will be soon. Some will recover fully within a matter of days. Some it's going to take a matter of months to get to that point. For some of the infrastructure improvements that truly need to be made, that can take a couple of years for us to get to the point in some of those hardest hit areas where we have done everything that we could to try to insulate ourselves from the damage of a future storm. And so we're still in hurricane season, and that means that we can continue to have some storms that will impact us before we get everything done. But we're going to work. We have contingency plans in place to be able to deal with the here and now, but then to try to accelerate some of the things that need to happen as a community.
Mr. Mayor, does the county know how many lower-income families will be displaced from apartments or rental homes that flooded during this storm? And is the county doing anything, or is partner agencies doing anything to help those families until they're able to find a place to live?
We've been doing something from day one to help families, whether they're low income or otherwise, to try to survive throughout this tragedy that we're all experiencing. We've been doing that now. You've heard us talk about some of the county-specific efforts in neighborhoods where we have gone out and delivered water, done food distributions. We are working with all of these partners here. The whole sheltering process that we talked about is all about taking care of the people who are unhoused at this point. Those are our residents that we have been dealing with even before the storm actually happened within our community. And so it's an ongoing process. FEMA is on the ground right now. The individual assistance that is being made available by the federal government is an ongoing process. You heard him talk about the numbers of registrants already within our community. And so as the days move forward, likely there will be others who will need services. And so our county stands ready through our various community and family services efforts to make certain that those needs are being met.
Mayor, has Governor DeSantis reached out to you to schedule a visit here to Orange County?
No, that has not happened at this point. However, I will say that Governor DeSantis has a representative of his office has called to just check on our county. But in terms of scheduling a visit here to Orange County, that has not occurred at this point. I suspect that at some point he will come. There are, in all fairness, there's some counties, some communities that were harder hit than our county, and the level of the impact in those counties is well understood. And so there's some priorities there. We're a bit of a realist, but I'm just thankful that we have a county leadership group, collaborative across all disciplines that is well prepared to take care of the people here within Orange County. We do have, as you can see, we have federal and state resources. We've had personnel from the state embedded right in this emergency operations center along with us, from the state health officer here within Orange County to others. They have been working with us, and so we're focused on just delivering services here in our community.
Elliot,
Okay.
you were out in the Orla Vista neighborhood earlier this morning, and that was one of the hardest hit areas. I know in the past that they've had a lot of flooding in that area. We were talking to some residents that felt like the county has been slow with figuring out how to fix the flooding in that area, and I know there's been some projects in the works. And people out there just want to know what the county is going to do to try and prevent something like that from happening.
Well, I understand the frustration, but I also understand the media. You know, this is a question we've been addressing about Orla Vista before the storm ever came, about the efforts that we had underway to try to minimize the flooding that will happen in that area. We knew that it would flood. There's nothing that we could have done to prevent the type of flooding you have seen countywide because it was a hurricane. And not only did Orange County residents see the impact of that, but across the entire state. So let's lead with that first. We're talking about a hurricane, once in a 500-year phenomena that we're dealing with. So there's no system that would have been adequate to deal with the amount of rainfall that we saw at one time here. Now, if we want to talk about some of the things that have happened historically with Orla Vista, Orange County had been working since the last major storm to try to deal with the infrastructure challenges there in the Orla Vista area. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the plan of action executed before the hurricane. We never know when a hurricane is going to occur. What we have said here is that in terms of our commitment to Orla Vista as well as any of these other communities that flooded, where we can control by building infrastructure to hopefully minimize the impact of a future storm, we're going to do that. And so we have engineering plans designed for Orla Vista that will be put in place. What I have said to our staff is that the challenge, even with those plans, are that I don't know if those plans are adequate enough. Let's go back and take a look at those plans. Let's look at the opportunity to try to put a fix in there that where we don't see in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years or when the next storm comes along. If we can, let's try to put more of a permanent solution to that. But even with that permanent solution that is likely going to take a couple of years or so to implement, we still would not be able to guarantee to anyone in our community that we would never have a flood, we would never have devastation because of a hurricane. They're unpredictable, and there are a lot of reasons why we see the storms strengthening across the globe in terms of their impact, and that is something, quite frankly, that in the short term, there no community can adequately plan for that. So we're going to do the best that we can do. I'm not here to make excuses about why we are where we are today, as I have said before. And so I will say it again. We stand with every one of those residents in Orla Vista, in Arden Villas, in Cypress Landing, Bonneville, or any of those other areas that were disproportionately impacted to do the best that we can do with the resources that we have. All right, I'm going to go over here since, okay.
Okay. To answer her question, we can't fix the flooding issue, but when you say we stand with the residents, is there help for them, for the people that are now homeless because the apartment complexes are basically ending their contracts, they have nowhere to go. We visited more than a dozen families already in motels and they don't know what's going to be next for them. Any resources for them?
We have some of those resources we've already talked about today, where those families have the opportunity to work through the Red Cross, to work through FEMA, to be rehoused. There are processes in place for individual assistance. All of those families will be assisted in that process. It takes some time to identify them, but we have processes in place to work with them, to help them. So that is ongoing. Okay. All right. One last question, and all right.
I know Riverdale Elementary. We've just been out there all week. We were there when it was first flooded last week following the storm. Community residents are telling us that that was an area known to them in the community, that it was flooded. They had petitioned having a school built there. Was the county aware that it was a flood-prone area?
I can't answer that question. I mean, what I can tell you is this, is that we are a county, 1,000 square mile county, with approximately 1,000 lakes in it. And because of that, there are few areas in our county that are not going to be subject to flooding, okay, because of that. But we are a growing county as well, and so can you anticipate that? Yeah, but through our building codes and our various processes, what we try to do is regulate where the building will occur, so that we do not adversely impact the probability that a flood will happen in a particular area. But when you have a storm, or a 500-year storm, that dumps the kind of water that was dumped here, nothing would have been sufficient in order to preclude the flooding that you have seen across our county, across our state. That's just a fact of the matter, and as human beings, we just happen to be living through this experience, and everyone gets frustrated because of that. Who's to blame for that? The county isn't to blame that a hurricane came and impacted us. The county isn't to blame because flooding occurred. What we can do a better job of is evaluating those unlikely probabilities and trying to plan for them. And that's what we're doing as a county. So anyway, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate you for being here. And thank you to everybody that joined us. All right.